This is a voicemail recovered from the personal phone of Dr. Adrian Holt, staff surgeon at St. Cyprian Memorial Hospital, recorded at 2:47 a.m. on the night of his final shift. The message was never deleted. It was never returned. It was recovered from his phone after he resigned without notice and left a handwritten note on his locker that read only, "I cannot operate on what I cannot understand." The voicemail is 43 seconds long. It is addressed to his wife. Margaret. Margaret, pick up. I know it's late. I know. Listen to me. I need you to... Okay. I'm in OR 3. We're doing the lap appy on the Henderson patient. This 71-year-old. You know the one I told you about. Admitted last night. Belly pain. White count through the roof. Standard case. Routine. I have done 300 of these. I could do this in my sleep. And right now, I think I might be asleep. Because something is wrong. Something is wrong, and I need you to tell me I'm not losing my mind. The patient on the table is not the right patient. I don't mean like a wrong sight situation. I mean, the body on this table does not belong to a 71-year-old man named Thomas Henderson. The chart says Thomas Henderson, DOB 1954. Blood type A positive. The chart says no prior surgical history. The chart says nothing about these. Margaret, this patient has a scar that runs from the left iliac crest all the way around to the spine. I have never seen anything like it. It's not a surgical scar. It's not an injury. It looks like something was removed from inside this person, and then the incision was closed from the outside in. The tissue underneath is... I opened it, and the tissue underneath is layered. There are membranes where there shouldn't be membranes. There is a structure in the abdominal cavity that I cannot identify. And I have been cutting into human bodies for 22 years. And the blood type. I ordered a type and screen before we started. The nurse drew it. It came back B negative. The chart says A positive. The consent form says A positive. The patient wristband says A positive. But the blood on this table is B negative. And when I looked at the wristband more closely, Margaret, the wristband has a barcode on it that doesn't scan. It doesn't match any patient in the system. I pulled up the patient photo from admission. The person on this table looks nothing like the photo. I called pre-op. I said, "Who is this? Who did we bring into this room?" And the charge nurse said, "That's Thomas Henderson. That's who was in room 412. And I said, "Thomas Henderson is 71 years old. Thomas Henderson has thinning white hair and a scar on his right knee from a fall in 2019. This patient has dark hair. This patient has no knee scar. This patient has hands that are... The hands are wrong, Margaret. The fingers are too long. I don't mean like a genetic thing. I mean the proportions are wrong. I mean the palms are too narrow for the length of the fingers, and the knuckles bend in a direction that I need you to tell me I'm not losing my mind." I called the front desk. I said, "Is there anyone else in the system with a similar name? Is there a second Thomas Henderson? A Thomas Hendricks? A Thomas Henley?" There is not. There is one Thomas Henderson. He was admitted last night. He was prepped this morning. He was wheeled into OR 3 at 1:30 a.m. Margaret, I have been staring at the intake photos. I pulled the security footage from the hallway. The patient who was wheeled into OR 3 at 1:30 is not the patient who was in room 412 at midnight. They are not the same person. The hair is different. The body shape is different. The patient in room 412 at midnight was a thin, elderly man with a walker. The patient on my table right now is... I don't know what this patient is. I don't know where they came from. I am standing in the scrub room. I have been standing here for 8 minutes. The anesthesiologist is asking if we're going to proceed. The scrub nurse is waiting. The patient is on the table, intubated, sedated, alive. There is a living person on my operating table who does not match any record in this hospital, and I am supposed to cut them open and find an inflamed appendix, and I cannot. I can't. There is something moving. Under the membrane I exposed, there is something moving inside the patient, and it is not fetal. This is not a pregnancy. This is not a parasitic twin. The structure I'm looking at has a shape like a Margaret. It looks like a second rib cage. It's small. It's the size of a child's rib cage, and it's inside this patient's abdomen, and I can see it expanding. I can see it breathing. I need to stop this surgery. I need to stop it now. I need to tell someone what is happening in this room. I need to... There is someone in the observation gallery. I looked up, and there is a person sitting in the gallery seats. The gallery was empty when we started. I checked. The gallery is always empty at 2 a.m. There is a person sitting in seat 7, and they are watching me, and they are not blinking. They are just sitting there with their hands folded, and they are watching me operate. And they are not blinking. I think they are smiling. I think they are smiling, and I need to... I'm going to call security. I'm going to call... I don't know who I'm going to call. The number for hospital security is on the wall, and I can see it from here, and I cannot move. I am standing in the scrub room, and I cannot move my legs, and the person in the gallery is still watching me, and the patient on the table is still breathing, and the thing inside the patient is still expanding, and I think it's looking at me. I think the structure inside this patient has a face, and I think it's looking at me through the tissue, and The voicemail ends. It ends abruptly, mid-breath. Dr. Adrian Holt resigned the following morning. His resignation letter contained a single paragraph describing a surgical anomaly that he requested be reviewed by the hospital's ethics board. The letter was received. It was not reviewed. Thomas Henderson, the admitted patient, was found in room 412 the following morning, awake, alert, and confused. He stated he had never left his bed. Security footage from the night shift shows room 412 occupied and still at all times. The hallway camera shows no patient being transported to OR 3. OR 3's surgical log lists no procedure performed between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. The operating room was found clean and unused. There was no evidence of surgery. There was no blood, no instruments, no gauze. The only anomaly was a single surgical glove, size extra large, found in the waste bin, coated on the inside with a dark fluid that did not match any known blood type in the hospital's laboratory database. Dr. Holt's phone was recovered from his locker. The voicemail had been saved, but never sent. It appears to be a draft that was never completed. The recording is 43 seconds long. The final 3 seconds contain a sound that the hospital's audio forensics consultant described as consistent with a human voice, whispering from inside a closed container. Margaret. Margaret, I think I understand now. I think I understand what the person in the gallery wants. They don't want me to stop the surgery. They want me to continue. They want me to open the membrane and look at what's inside. And they want me to recognize it. I think they want me to understand that the patient on my table is not a patient. The patient on my table is a vessel, and the thing inside the patient is not growing into the patient. It's growing out of the patient. It's using the patient as a doorway, as an entrance, as a way to... I just looked at the gallery again. The person is gone. Seat 7 is empty, but the chair is still warm. I can feel the heat from here. I'm standing 12 feet away and I can feel the heat coming off the empty chair, and it smells like formaldehyde. It smells like the anatomy lab. It smells like I'm going back in. I'm going back into the OR. I'm going to open the membrane. I'm going to look at the face inside this patient, and I'm going to find out who. I need to know who sent this person. I need to know who signed the consent form. I need to know whose name is on that wristband. Because it's not Thomas Henderson, and it's not anyone. The name on the wristband is a word I don't recognize, and when I tried to read it out loud, it sounded like a name, but it also sounded like a location. It sounded like a place you go when you... I'm going in. I'm going in now. There is no sound after this. The file ends at exactly 43 seconds and 12 frames. Audio forensics analysis detected a faint undertone throughout the entire recording, present at approximately 42 dB below the primary narration. When isolated and amplified, the undertone appears to be a second voice, speaking simultaneously with Dr. Holt, but at a lower volume. The content of the second voice is unintelligible. Spectral analysis suggests it is not a recording artifact. It appears to be a live voice, present in the same room as Dr. Holt at the time of recording. The voice does not match Dr. Holt. It does not match any staff member on duty that night. The voice does not match Enter Star.